Hi everybody, my name is Alexis and my informative presentation today is going to be on things to look out for when you're driving in rural communities. So I just want to begin by saying I'm not a good driver, I'll never claim to be one. I've gone off the road a few times, blown some tires, unfortunately had some run-ins with some wildlife, but we've all been there. And for me, I grew up on a family farm that also butts up against a metro park, and my road is actually behind me, and that's what divides the two. So I've been presented some unique challenges with learning how to drive and things to look out for out here. And I just want to kind of pass that along to you guys. And some of those things you got to really watch out for out here would be like farm machinery and like livestock. We've got wildlife, pedestrians. Obviously, we've got other drivers as well as just road conditions that you got to watch out for. So with farm machinery, anybody that's familiar with them, you've got like combines, tractors, other slow moving vehicles. We also have like the semis that come through here, and they're not a great match for these back roads, but you got to do what you got to do. And so, as another driver, you need to watch out for them. Try to yield to them. If there's ways for you to like get off the road to get out of the way, that'd be great. You also have to look out for hidden drives with farm machinery. They're not going to be turning into a very clearly marked or great like alleyway or driveway. They'll be pulling off into the middle of a field where you're not going to expect them to be coming to a stop. They should be having somebody behind them or in front of them with their hazards on or trying to signal for you to be safe. But sometimes farmers can be a little bullheaded and try to navigate things without help, and that can also be hazardous. But you got to be a defensive driver on that. With livestock as well, we don't raise livestock, but other farmers, where if a cow gets out or something, you're not gonna be expecting it, but you gotta kind of pay attention for those. If you see other cattle, maybe try to go a little bit slower, just in case for something like that to happen. You'd be able to stop or be able to keep out of the way. With wildlife, especially with harvest happening right now with farmers, they like to graze through the corn that's been missed by the combines or just trying to navigate through, and they're just more restless right now. And with hunting season happening, there's just a lot more movement in general with wildlife. So you got to be careful about that. Out here, there's not very many areas to go that have like sidewalks or like safe places to go to like run or bike or anything like that or go for walks. And so as a driver, you have to pay attention that nobody's out in front of you, especially with like the low visibility. It's harder to see somebody up ahead of you. And just going like a little bit slower in general. I have a neighbor that she likes to bicycle out here, and anytime somebody's coming over, I always make sure to tell them to pay attention and watch out for her, just because there's low visibility out here and it's hard to see. And she likes to ride around at weird times of day, and just got to be extra careful with that. With and also, as I said, with the lower visibility with the curves up here and everything, it's just harder to see around some of these hills and trees and all that. For other drivers, they can tend to be more relaxed out here where they don't pay as much attention because there's not as many cars. They'll be texting and driving because they don't think anybody's out here. I've also heard people say things like whenever they're out at a bar saying, oh, like it's fine, I'll just take the back way home. Like, it's not good to drive impaired at all, and people tend to think that going out into rural communities or taking the back ways home is a safer option, even though there's still people out here. So you just have to be careful of that. With road conditions, there's varying surfaces out here. Like just within probably a mile or two of my house, we've got like a perfectly paved highway. We have my tar and chipped road that's a 1 lane. And then we also have a partially tar and chip, partially paved road right on down the way. And there's also like gravel roads out here. So you never know, whenever you take a turn, you might be coming onto a different surface. And you just have to be careful of that and paying attention to your surroundings. As I said before, with low visibility, the turns can be tricky, the hills, you just gotta kind of pay attention and slow down. If you don't know what's on the other side of the hill, don't speed up or do anything like that. Make sure you're on your side of the road, and just be a defensive driver altogether. We also don't have many marked roads out here. My road doesn't have a middle lane, it doesn't have edge lanes, and so you just have to be careful with that, of trying to come around like corners and everything. There's not as many barriers if anything were to happen. And also, roads are harder to treat out here, or not as well cleared. We have issues where they put sand on the roads instead of like actually paving or putting salt out. And here comes a car now. And so, like, that just offers different hazards. A lot of us drive four-wheeled vehicles just because they're not as well cleared, and trying to get around out here isn't the easiest with some of these hills and dips and turns. And so, like, in conclusion, it's not out here driving, it's not as simple as just looking both ways before you pull out. You obviously still should, or like not speeding, things like that. But you still have to remember to watch out for those farmers, the wildlife, the pedestrians, other drivers in those road conditions. Things can be not what they seem, where you think you're going to be on a perfectly paved road and have a complete surprise whenever you hit that gravel. And just make sure that you keep your off-roading on purpose. Make sure you're not out here just bahaing through the ditches on accident. All right?